Let me do this. Perfect. Good. So I think everybody's muted now. Good morning. It is Monday. This is our final week of the summer season for yoga. And again, I want to thank everybody for sticking around and being part of this. What started off as a bit of an experiment, and now thank you, Mark. And it's just I don't normally do so many classes in the summer, so it's been a real it's that finding the silver lining, right? So it's been such an amazing opportunity that each of you have been a part of providing to me in my life. And honestly, it's always good to keep me occupied and off the street. So I thank you for that distraction. So this week we are going to focus on love for our low back. And we're going to do that not only today, but we're going to continue with it on Wednesday afternoon, or Wednesday evening rather, or Wednesday night here. And then what will happen is we'll be done yoga for the rest of the summer season until we hopefully meet again in September. I will leave links for you. I will make sure you still have access to the members area of the website so you can keep watching content, or you can take a break. Guess what? I'm going to take a break from yoga for a while too, because I like to do that. Then it's more fun when we come back together, in my humble opinion. So before we start today, I want you to keep in mind a little bit of what we were talking about last Wednesday evening when we did our class for the knees. And that is when we have discomfort in part of the body. So today we're focusing on low back. So when you have discomfort, hey Cheryl, hi. So when you have discomfort in an area, if it's not caused by an injury, there are some other reasons for it. Primarily, it is the supporting musculature is not strong enough, or the supporting musculature, because it is not strong enough, is causing the musculature that is sore to do more work. And so we focus a lot on stretching with yoga, and stretching is great for the low back and all the hip flexors and everything that holds us together. But if we don't focus on strength, we're not going to shift that. So case in point, I often have low back discomfort. It's usually my QLs, quadratus lumborum. And that is likely because my core is weaker than it once was, because I don't plank as much, because as I get older, I'm kind of going, whatever, I'm not ever going to wear a bikini again, so who cares? But the point is, when I've been where I am for the past couple of months, there are huge hills. And so not only has core strength increased for me, glute strength has increased for me. And all of these things help to offset the work that the QL we're doing. So today we're going to be doing some stretching, some warming up, a little bit of flow, and then we're going to be doing some strengthening, again for glutes and a little bit for core. And if we focus on those areas, we can take some of the pressure off the QL and the piriformis and the TFL and the IT. And that's the goal for today. So with that in mind, I invite you to join me, stretch out on your backs. If you don't have a chair with you yet, don't worry, you'll have time to grab one later. And we are going to stretch out and check in with our backs for a Monday morning. Oh. So I'm starting with a little bit of movement back and forth, because we are going to do a lot to the low back today. So I'm just kind of moving hip to hip. This is also going to help you understand if you're wearing the right pants for the class, because sometimes a waistband on the pants will not be comfortable. Okay, shoulders wiggle in. Stretch your legs out. Pull up and back through the core. I'll let your arms flop out. If this is really too tight in the low back, bring your knees up. But if you can handle this for a few moments, bear with me. So close your eyes. Start to take some deep breaths in and out through the nose. And pull the breath in so deeply that it comes right down into the pelvis. And then just slowly bring your hands to the top of the iliac crest, so kind of your hip bones here on the front. Just secure your hands in there and just push down a little bit, so kind of pushing away from the shoulders, and then roll your shoulders back, press your elbows into the floor. And as you're pushing down, I want you to just push up into a little bit of a back bend, so you're creating space. And I want you to continue to breathe deeply. If you want to point your toes, you could do that as well. And just think of it, you're just pulling that low back apart. And then sink back down. Good. Core remains tight. Keep the breath nice and deep. Let's do a little bit of gentle stretching before we start a flow. So bring a knee all the way back, and then kind of let the knee come to wherever it's comfortable being. And then I want you to pull that knee further back, all the way back. Shoulders roll into the ground. Pay attention now to what's happening in the extended leg. If that leg is kind of floating up a little bit, just apply a little bit of gentle pressure again with the breath. So maybe breathing in and exhale, pushing down. And while this is all happening, just be mindful of the low back. You don't want it to be hurting. Good. Okay, so let's start to slowly take this knee towards the shoulder or the armpit on the same side. So it's my left leg that's bent. So I'm gently going to bring it over. I'm keeping my chest where it is. Shoulders are where they rest on the floor. And I'm going to keep my toes just a little bit of a point here. And my other hand is on my hip because I want to kind of secure so I don't roll over. So these are deep stretches, so we want to match that with a deep breath that's just going to let stuff go. Okay, so slowly back to center, switch hands. Now we're going to bring that leg across the midline gently to begin, just testing what's happening with the piriformis, which is a hip flexor that basically runs under your butt cheeks. So I am still keeping my shoulders grounded. That's controlling how much of a stretch is happening. And just have a nice deep breath. Good. And then we're going to come back to center. One more step with this leg, please. Extending it up. So my hamstrings are tight today, especially the back of the quad is really tight. So I'm going to try and straighten, and in order to assist that, I'm going to flex the foot and just kind of bring that energy up. And I'm pushing up, almost like I'm kicking into the ceiling, but I'm not, because that would be not a nice thing to do. Okay. And as my breath gets deeper, my knee starts to bend more and more. So I'm just going to keep it active. Beautiful. And bringing that knee down, foot to the floor, sliding the leg out. Other knee comes up now. Again, deep breaths to begin. Shoulders are back. So while you're in this posture, I want you to do a little bit of a scan. What's happening kind of around this area? So kind of top of the thigh, what's happening through the butt, and what's happening in the low back. Notice all of those things, please, as you continue to breathe. And we're going to pull that knee in a little bit tighter and maybe pressing a hand down on the opposite leg if needed. Opposite hand, slowly pulling across the midline. So when I was mentioning piriformis before, your piriformis kind of runs, I should like a laser pointer. It kind of comes across here. And if you feel like digging around, because it's your butt, you can do that. But sometimes if you're actually like with two fingers kind of palpating in here, you can feel it, and it's like, it feels like surgical tubing, and it's one of those, so it's a hip flexor. To release it, you almost have to strum it like you would a guitar string, if that makes sense. I always joke at home, I use a TV remote to kind of jam into it. Looks great. You can also use a tennis ball. So if you had a tight piriformis, put a tennis ball under and lean back onto it. I can't use tennis balls because of my dogs, which is why I use the remote. I don't lie on the remote, but don't turn the TV on, which would just be not what you use your butt for. Okay, so let's come back to center and then extending that leg up into the air. And again, remembering to push up. Deep breaths. And again, noticing kind of what's happening between the left and the right side. Is this leg tighter? Are my hips kind of talking back? I will tell you, just this first little warm up, and I didn't do much other stuff physically today, but I'm noticing into my TFL, which is here. Good, bring the knee down. Both knees are gonna come together, pull them into the tummy, and just gently rocking from side to side. And then we're gonna do our little, I almost feel like this is a bicycle motion. I realize it's not. This would be a ridiculous way to ride a bicycle. But a little bit of a twist, and again, think about it. We're heating up the area, bringing blood flow to the low back, and a little bit of massage all at once. Okay, a little bit of strengthening. So extend your legs up into the air. And your toe knuckles are connected, core is tight. What we're gonna do, most of you have done this before, we're gonna start to bring the feet down. The knees are gonna come out to the side. So it's almost like you're pulling into the butterfly. So my knees are poking out to the sides and the soles of my feet are together, but we're not gonna use the hands. So from here, we're gonna push back up, toe knuckles come together. And down. Inhale up. This is a tough one, hey? And then down. And up. And down. So this is requiring lower abdominal strength. We're going to push up again. And also it's activating your quads. And down. And once more, all the way up. Knees come into the tummy. Let's move into a flow to get the rest of the body working, and then we'll come to standing. So just roll up, and we're gonna come right forward, and I'm just gonna pop this way because it's easier for me. I'll have a little sip. Oh, and I will read you what it says on the tea bag. This is my yogi tea for this morning, and I love the little saying, and I want to share it with you because it's important when we are working to release aches and pains in our body, which requires a little bit of extra love and care. So this says, be kind to others, but always be compassionate to yourself. So cheers. Okay, to start our flow, and this is our nice energy pulling flow where we come from child up, sweep the energy, and then we're going to push into a downward facing dog, stretch out those hamstrings, and then we kind of do it all again. So I'm sinking into my hips here, and I'm going to stretch forward. Think about this for a moment. When we're moving into child's pose, if you just had a brilliant idea in your mind that this is the opposite of what we just did when we were on our backs, you are correct. That's why that knee to tummy pose is the same as child's pose, with the benefit of releasing tension in the low back. So I realize people don't love child's pose, but we've done it before with a bolster, and even if you can do that, the stretch in that low back is so beautiful. So just hang out here for a few breaths. And then with a nice tight core, start to drag your hands back, a little bit of an arch. We lift up, shoulders roll back, bring that energy to heart center, up to the third eye. When we lift up here, really lift through the chest again. We are kind of modifying a back bend here, and then we open up through the chest, bring the shoulder blades together. It should feel so good as you drag the shoulder blades down the back. And then tighten the core, move forward, flip your toes, and we push up and back. So down dog is helping with tight low backs because it is stretching your hamstrings. So see if your heels want to come down a little bit. And then hands and knees sink into your child's pose. So we stretch the hams, and now we're stretching that low back again. Pull the hands back, lifting through the heart. Inhale, heart center. Exhale, and then inhale, third eye. Exhale, and then inhale, crown, open the chest, coming back. Up and back, down dog. Hands and knees, child's pose. Last time, lifting up, hands to the heart, third eye, crown, and all the way down. So up and back to downward dog, please. And then back to your hands and knees. And I'm going to just shift my position, face forward. I just had a great idea, so we're gonna add one more little thing before we come up to standing. So knees under the hips. Just take a moment, we're gonna breathe in, head and tail lift. So just do one nice little bit of cat-cow here. So as you stretch your hips up, this is a great test to see what's happening in the QL. So just hold here and breathe, notice what's happening. And then exhale, arching the back, tuck the tail under. And then releasing. And keeping in mind, tightness is okay. Pain, like shooting pain, bad. So if you're having shooting pain, chances are there's some kind of a compressed disc or an injury, and that's where you want to back off. Back off. Let's bring the left foot forward. So knee is under the armpit. We're going to get into our hamstrings a little bit further here. So a nice way to do that is a few different things that we can do. First, we are going to push up into a lunge. So flip your back toes and then just stretch your leg up and back. This is going to get into the hip flexor on this side. So I'm up on my fingertips, so I want my chest to lift and I'm kind of looking up. A couple of breaths here. Again, if you don't need the arms, you don't have to have them. Have a little snack maybe. Okay, and then slowly lower your back knee, uncurl those toes, and now walk it back. Okay, so now we're stretching into that hamstring. Couple of deep breaths, sink your shoulders down. So you should be feeling this all the way up. And this is a nice kind of balanced posture. If you have blocks, you can lift up higher. We're not going to go into a full monkey god. And then back forward. I'm going to invite you to bring this knee back. So actually, let's do a quick gecko. Look at me. I'm all over the place. I'm freestyling. So I've brought my foot out to the side. Toes point away. I'm down on my back knee. If that's uncomfortable, you can lift up. And again, we just want to activate through all these hip flexors. If you're feeling a lot of tightness in there, like I am, that's probably part of why there's discomfort in the low back. Lower that back knee, and then this leg comes around behind, switching to the other side. Beautiful, good. So just getting comfortable here again, lifting up through the chest. Breathing. Tight through your core, please. And then we're going to flip the back toes. I need to push back when I do that to get my leg out, because we don't want the bum up in the air. We want the hips nice and low. Again, keep that core tight. Maybe engage the glutes. Good. And then we're going to lower that knee down, walk it back into that beautiful leg extension forward. Breathe. Breathe whatever is happening through the leg out into the universe. And then moving forward. So I did a little fix up. My back foot was like coming across the midline, and that's sloppy. So I just shifted it back, checking my posture here. And then we're going to walk into the gecko on this side. So hands come together, bring that foot out, ta-da, and out we go. I'm getting comfortable through the hands, and the elbows are a little bit bent for comfort. And then if you want to lift up through the back leg, you can. Good. And then dropping that knee down behind and bring the knees together. From here, look at me spinning around, up and back to a down dog. And then slowly walk your hands back towards your feet. Keep the knees bent, folded forward. And then slowly rolling up to a standing posture. And once you come to standing, just move yourself into mountain pose. I'm moving so I can still be seen. I hate it when I cut my head off. Good. So we're going to come into our mountain pose here. Shoulders back, fingertips are down, chin drops. Close your eyes. So as you're standing here, closed eyes, just breathing deeply. I want you to focus on some little adjustments. So grip with your feet. Tuck the hips under, tighten up and back through the core. Move the shoulders to the back body. Lengthen through your neck. Beautiful. Let's open the eyes. Sweeping up. Nice, beautiful breath in. And then we're going to swan dive forward gracefully. Fingertips touch the mat. drop your head. Inhale up to the knees, shoulders come back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up, big sweep here. So as you come up, lengthen again. Make sure the core is tight. Lift it up and back. And then bring the hands to the heart. We're going to do that once more. Inhale, sweeping. Exhale, swan dive. Up to the knees. Exhale, touch the floor. And again, with the core engaged, slowly reverse that swan dive all the way up. Lengthen and bring the energy back to the heart. Good. Okay, so as we were standing in that kind of variation of mountain pose and even going up and down in that way, when you think about it, if this is where your discomfort is, it's because these muscles are doing so much work, right? Which means these muscles and these muscles are probably not doing as much. And I always think about this when I'm standing, because if I'm not paying attention to how I'm standing, I am kind of hunching over. I'm exaggerating now, but I'm rolling forward. My tummy is soft. And think about what I'm doing. My hips are being forced to work in a way they shouldn't have to work, because what is this? But this is how I stand. And think about what's happening here. The glutes should be kind of collectively working with the core muscles. But if I'm not engaging my core muscles, they don't have to work either. And if I'm hanging forward, these muscles start to go like, whoa, 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 and they want to pull me up. So all of that is happening. The other thing that happens to cause discomfort is our hamstrings get so tight. That's why we fold forward so much and stretch the hamstrings in our yoga practice. As your hamstrings get tight, think about it. They pull, right? When they get tight, they pull. So if they're pulling, this is pinching. And then you can have a lot of bum sticky outy stuff. Bum sticky outy stuff is not actually medical terminology. I'll just disclose that now. So what we want to do is strengthen. We want to lengthen, and we want to just bring awareness to kind of what we're doing. So we're going to start with our chairs, please and thank you. And let's start with a little bit of activation for the inner thigh, because again, this getting tight can pull like that. So let's bring a foot up to the chair. And I always kind of go through this with you folks, but you can either be on the inside of your foot, or I'm comfortable kind of rolling the ankle over. It's up to you though. Let's bring our supporting leg. The foot comes out slightly on an angle, and again, lifting up and back through the core. Shoulders are back. Let's take a breath in. And exhale, we're going to bend the knee. So my camera angle is not that great, but my knee is going in the direction of my toes. So you don't want a knee going somewhere else. And I'm actually going to shift. Good. Okay, so let's do that again. So nice and tight, breathe in, and exhale, coming down. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale, and exhale. Let's hold here if you can. If this is uncomfortable for the leg or your knee, you can straighten. Otherwise, let's start by sweeping up and over. This might start to activate through the QL, and actually let's straighten that leg. Who am I kidding? I don't want to stress out your quads. All the way up, pulling down. So we're going to do the other side. So lengthening and then leaning over. And then I want you to just start to rotate so you're actually reaching across. And then coming back. Good. Once more, up and over. All the way down. Roll your shoulders. Good. So let's switch to the other side. And the nice thing about doing this at home is, well, you'll have furniture that you can use. but also you should have enough time to set up and position yourself properly. So we'll move to this side. A little left leg supporting, so I'm going to go out on the side a little bit. And taking a nice breath in. And exhale, sinking. And up. And down. And up, really looking for this stretch here and coming down. Good, so let's come up and sweeping up and over towards that extended leg. Breathing a lot. You can also hold on to your chair while you're doing this if you like. And coming over, and then this is my chair, so I'm losing my chair. We are going to come all the way up. And then I'm going to start to roll forward almost in this extension. Again, keep that core really tight. And then pulling up and back. And we'll go one more time, up and over on this side. And again, if you wanted to take this up a notch, you could always add a little bit of a bend through the knee, but you don't have to. Good, and releasing. Very good. Let's come back to the other side. Again, really thinking about, well, right now I'm thinking about pulling my pants up, but also I'm thinking about strengthening. So let's get some additional work happening here. The leg that is furthest from the chair is going to be what we are weight bearing on. Your other leg is going to be the one that we're moving. Core is tight. This is a lot of core and glute action here. Shoulders are back, and we're going to lift from toe on the floor, just slightly up. So let's do up and down. I'm lifting on a breath, so up as an inhale and exhale down. Lift and down, lift and down. Check the core is tight. A few more. Lift and down, lift, and now bring that toe behind. So again, we want to keep that core nice and tight, but additionally now, if you can, pinch those bum cheeks together. Get that activation happening in your gluteus maximus and gluteus medius, side bum. Good, so again, from toe on the floor, up and down. And actually join me please this time in a little bit of a bend through this knee. Again, knee going in the same direction as the toes. I'm just gonna adjust here, good. All right, so we're gonna go lift and down. You could have your arm out to the side if you want. And down, lift and down. Glutes are engaged, lift and down. Perfect, good. Since we are here, let's just switch to the other side. So my supporting leg is on a slight angle, external rotation. Again, when we're in the front, make sure core is tight. Lift and down. Good. So nice fluid movement. Of course, you could do this with music. Let's do two more. And engage your glutes, lift and down, and then sweeping through to behind. Or devant. Devant and derriere, right? So this is our devant, and that is our derriere, which is what we call our bum. Okay, so let's go a little bit of bend in the leg. Glutes are engaged and lift and down. Lift and down. A few more, lift. Lifting. Check glutes and core. Lift and down. Once more, maybe go a little bit higher. And bringing the feet back together. Good. So you should feel after using those big muscles, that's always the test. Where's your heart rate? I mean, we're not going to do this, but are you a little bit short of breath? Does it feel like you need to take a deeper breath? If it does, that's an indication that you engaged those big muscles, which is what we want. Engaging the big muscles takes the pressure off the QL. So good work. Let's come around to this side. A couple of things here. This is always very hard for me, but it's a nice exercise to go through. I'm just going to bend my leg. It doesn't matter where it is. It can be wherever you need it to be. From here, we are going to bend the supporting leg, lift to the toes, straighten, and sink your heel down. And again, while you're doing this, pay attention to what's happening in the core and make sure your glutes are engaged. So we'll go again. Bend, toe, lift, and down. I have to move my chair. Bend, toe, lift, and down. Really engage. Bend, toe, lift, and down. Once more, I know it's hard. Bend, toe, lift, and down. Beautiful. Let's move to the other side. Again, bend. This is a very slidey chair, sorry. You're gonna see me do this and you don't have to do that. Okay, so bend, toe, lift, and down. Bend, toe, lift, and down. Check core and glutes. Bend, toe, lift, and down. Once more, bend, toe, lift, and down. Beautiful work. Just take a moment, lift up through your feet. Okay, a little bit more stretching and then we are going to go deep into some of this. Our beautiful use of the chair always brings us into this posture, right? So again, we want to start to release some of the hip flexors. This gives more relief, again, to this low back area. So we're going to get into our psoas, and we do that by facing the chair, leaning in. We're going to lift up onto the toe base. This is what we do in our ballet bar, or our dance class. I guess it's not really ballet bar anymore. Bend the knee. So you should start to feel this stretch here already. And then what I want you to do is push back. So what I've done here, and it's hard because I'm wearing all these layers, I've created a back bend, right? So this is how we stretch our iliopsoas, and we'll be doing more for the iliopsoas on Wednesday evening. If you want to create more of a back bend, more lengthening, the side that the leg is extended on, bring that arm up and back, chest lifts, breathe a lot, and then releasing and coming back. Straighten that leg, point your toe. And supporting leg, I always have my foot facing out. So I want you to take the arm the same side as the leg resting on the chair and just lift up and extend forward. Core stays so tight here. So you're probably feeling the stretch up the back, where you can't see my hand anymore, the thigh, the inner thigh, maybe into the hips. So extend, reach, 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 reach. Keep breathing. And then pulling back. Good, now we're going to use the other arm, going towards that foot. Reaching. And back, beautiful. Releasing. So of course, if this feels like a really good deep stretch that you're enjoying, you could do this 3 or 4 times. That's why you're going to have the recording to work with for the next few weeks. I just want you to have how these are set up and how we use them. So let's go to the other side. Foot comes up. And I always kind of make sure things are stable before coming any further into this posture. So I'm going to reach forward, lifting up, bending my knee. I'm rolling my shoulders down here while I'm also getting comfortable with the chair. I'm dumping my knee down here. And then I extend back, so I'm pushing back. And again, you're going to feel that stretch up through the psoas. And then if you want to make the back bend a little bit deeper, the leg that's extended, bring that arm up and back. Or you can also lean over across the midline. Just be careful on the chair. Releasing. You don't have to hold this that long. And again, extending forward. So we're leaning in here. And we're going to do same side to begin. So I always feel like I have to lift up and almost like I'm leaning across a bar, right? Like a drinking bar, not a ballet bar. So lifting up, leaning over, like you're reaching for whatever kind of craft beer you crave at this time in the morning, reaching across the bar to it, and then pulling up and back, your reward. And then we'll do the other side. So other arm coming across. Deep breaths here. And all the way back, good. Releasing. Let's bring our feet nice and wide apart. Modified downward facing dog. Again, you should feel that we are activating this area. And because we just did the back bend and we just stretched the psoas, now we want to reverse this. So a big sweep up. And as you sweep up, engage through the core, activate your glutes here, and then swan dive forward, slide in. And as you're here today, imagine somebody that you love very much is pulling back through your hips. So there's that kind of pull back motion while your arms are stretching further on the chair. Think of creating space along your spine. That's what this stretch is doing. Two more breaths. And then with a tight core, slowly we roll up. Put the shoulders back. And let's come back. Good. So let's move the chair. We'll keep it handy for our Shavasana because we're going to do that really restful pose. And now I want to come down and we're going to do some really, really nice, but I'm lying, it's not nice, but really deep stretching for your QL. The quadratus lumborum, the big upper, what I call the regional municipality of Upper Buttdom. So your low back muscles. So get comfortable. If you need a little bit of a cushion or something underneath, you could do that. You could roll something up or double up your mat. We're going to come into the cobbler's pose. Of course, the more comfortable you get with yoga, you start to realize that there are only so many postures, right? We just do them in different ways. So we're back to what we call cobbler, like this. But you'll recognize that it kind of starts to look like butterfly, except we're no longer on our backs. And also we were doing that motion earlier when we were starting pulling the feet down. So it's the same posture, we're just doing inversions and variations of it to get the same result, or sometimes slightly different. So the most important thing with doing the cobbler's pose is keeping the core tight. So engage. It's a good practice. Roll your shoulders back. And even if you're just learning how to do this pose and you want to use it for meditation and stuff, pack cushions underneath. to support the legs, but keep that core tight always. Okay. Bring an arm up. And again, we lengthen. Cross over your head. And then take the other arm underneath. And we're going to start to pull over. Now, if you want, you can reach right across to that knee for support and stability, but don't turn it into a twist. Just do, actually don't grab the knee, hold further down, please. So don't turn your shoulder, just lift up and over. You're gonna feel this right into the QL. Breathe, 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 keep the core tight. All the way up, bring the arm down, other side. Up and over. And just shift, so again, you're not pulling across. Good, breathing deeply, right? Nobody's holding their breath. And up and releasing, roll your shoulders. Okay, 90-90. And I'm shifting around because I hate when my ankle bone hits the hard floor. It just feels like not good times. So I'm just gonna shift like this. Definitely make sure that this is a good 90-90, not a foot in the bathing suit area. And it's okay to have the back bum cheek up off the ground. I miss the live classes when, like the in-person classes, when people say, should my butt be off the floor? Sure, this is a tough one. Okay, so facing towards that front leg. Hold on for stability, because we're gonna take this other arm up and you're gonna start to lean in towards this knee. If you want, you could hold out front. That's putting too much pressure on my low back, so I'm gonna come back here. Breathe a lot, keep the core tight. Ooh. If you are feeling, you might not feel this as anything, but where I'm feeling it is this side, kind of the top of the pelvis on this side where I'm extending the arm. And again, think of that. So we're lengthening that side, right? We're creating a side bend. Core is tight. Teeth are grinding. All right, let's come up and releasing. If it's comfortable, lean forward a tiny bit. Who am I kidding? That's not comfortable for anyone. Let's back out of that crap. Let's switch to the other side. Sometimes I seek beautiful continuity between poses, and then I get into them myself. I'm like, that sucks. Let's not do that. Okay. 90-90, check your posture. And again, notice the difference between left and right. By this time in the practice, hopefully you're not seeing glaring differences between left and right, maybe just subtle differences. All right, find somewhere for your hand to be that's comfortable. The arm reaches up and your hand is coming over towards that bent knee side. Ooh. Slow, deep breaths. I know it's intense. And up and bringing the arm down. And untangling, a little bit of a bounce in the legs. Good. So we're going to do one more little bit of a stretch. That lasts a little bit of release, and then we'll come down to the back. That QL stretch is fairly intense. If you felt that it was intense, if you felt this stuff was stretching, please do that stretch again. Don't do it cold. That's why we're doing it towards the end of our practice. If you have been doing something really active, gardening, hiking, whatever fun activities you're doing these days, afterwards, sit down and do that stretch. It's really nice, but don't do it cold, please. That will put pressure on where you don't want it. Okay, last one. No, not cow face. I was about to go into a full cow face pose, but that's not what we need. We just need a little log cabin set up here. And I'm just taking a moment and while also trying to lead a class, kind of doing a check-in with myself going, okay, I'm coming back into this posture. How's everything feeling? Right now, I feel like my hips are talking back a little bit, but they're open. They're participating in conversation, but willing participants. And my low back feels good, and my QL feels good. So now I'm gonna just walk the fingertips forward. This should be familiar to you guys. And so I'm starting to feel my hips lift. So this is where I push back. So that kind of lengthening through the low back, just like we do with the child's pose. In fact, that might feel so good that you just stay here. You could drop down further, but I'm actually getting such a nice stretch here that this is where I'm going to stay. I've spread my fingers out, and I'm going to activate the musculature in my arms so that I'm not jamming up into my shoulders. And of course, I'm going to bring my core into this equation. And breathing really deeply. Good. Roll the hands up, lace your fingers all the way up, and a little side body. Yay! Up and side body. Good. Switch your legs. The second side always feels a little bit more uncomfortable because when I give you a choice, when I don't tell you left or right side, we always go to our easier side first. So lifting up, core is tight, walking the hands forward, feeling that lift through the hips, pushing back to extend and stretch that low back. And again, what we didn't do on the other side, but you're welcome to do here, if you have that flexibility and you want to kind of drop down on one side or drop down on the other side, again, this can be really fluid and just based on what it is that you need. And rolling up, good. Flip your legs around, or I'm flipping mine around because of how I was positioned on my mat. Maybe you don't need to do that. And I'm going to come down to the floor and quick spinal twist. Arms are to the side, bend to the elbows, palms facing up like a cactus. Dun, 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 dun. Drop your legs down to the side. And just notice what's happening along that spine, right? It's stuff talking back. And then tight core, center, and to the other side. And back up. Good. Once more with the core tight, we're going to extend our legs up into the air, flex the feet, just stretch those hamstrings once more. Maybe a little bit of love rub happening, massaging into the IT band. And then hopefully your chair is still handy, because if it is, take a load off. Again, in this posture, we are releasing tension around the low back. I'm going to bring my chair even closer. And as you rest here, just notice how you feel. And breathe so deeply. So of course, if you are doing this class again later, doing the recording, you can stay as long as you like in this posture, throw in some breath work, maybe a mantra, or have just daydream. Think of all the wonderful, beautiful things that you can do in the next few days or whatever. Dream, daydream. But for us, I'm going to push the chair away. And then I want you to bring your feet down to the floor and your legs are extended. And just take a moment and notice now what's happening in that low back. We're going to do one more stretch, hands to the hips, arching up like we did when we were beginning the class, creating that space, just stretching here. And then sinking down. And then pull your knees into your tummy for a really tight hug. And as you hug in, lift your hips up and then sink back down, lengthening. And then to move to a seated position, you can roll onto your side or you can roll forward. And you can take whatever seated position is comfortable for you, but just get nice and tall for a few moments. Shoulders back, core engaged, soften through your face. Just close your eyes and breathe. And tap into how you're feeling. You should feel like you worked hard, but you should feel a little bit more relaxed, a little dozy. Maybe you're hungry. I know I am. But hopefully you feel like you've released some tension. And then let's bring the hands together in front of the heart. And just acknowledge the great work that you've done today. Bringing awareness to what muscle groups we need to continue to strengthen, what we need to continue to stretch, how we need to breathe in order to keep it all working together. And all with a playful spirit and a willingness to show up on a Monday morning to get the job done. So to that I say thank you and namaste. So Wednesday night, we are going to continue with more of this program, and hopefully it'll be one that you'll go back to during your time off.